Immigrants coming to the United States positively contribute to American society. The collaborations of immigrants with others in American society allows the potential of this country to continuously expand. The ideas brought to this country with these immigrants ultimately benefits the United States culturally and economically. When bilingual immigrants come to this country, the United States' ability to communicate with other countries is strengthened. Source E states, by giving the immigrants permission to stay, they can join the community and become accountable to the protection of their country and neighbors. The United States is a mosaic society and it is vital that we stay a country open to immigration. Maintaining open immigration to the United States is essential, especially at this time where many refugees are looking for asylum.
Immigration into our country increases diversity and therefore increases the quality of the genetic pool. The mixing of races decreases the amount of mutations that are passed on. It is a well-known fact that mixed children have superior DNA compared to those of a single race. It is proven that mixed children are both more intelligent and taller. These auspicious genes would not be seen as often if the United States did not allow immigrants into the nation. Another intellectual benefit to immigration can be found in bilingual houses. As a child grows up in a bilingual house, brain plasticity and the development of the language center of the brain is increased. These bilingual houses are a direct result of open immigration and the relationships between two people of different cultures.
1 minute, 33 seconds. Sorry. Rebuttal?
So the immigrants that cross the border, instead of mixing with others and forming a mixed species that would be genetically superior, often stay in communities with all others who have immigrated from the same location. In California, there are many communities that are full of Spanish speakers that have crossed the border, and they're not intermingling with the diverse society and making it more of a diverse and genetically superior race. They're staying within themselves, just in a different country.
We're also already a mixed bowl of race. That's what we were built on. Like, that's our foundation. So we don't need more in this time. Like, immigration used to be good for us, and it's just not anymore in this time.
I also don't see, I can't see the science that can prove that mixing more races technically makes you more immune to disease. Because either way, no matter what race you are, I mean, we still haven't figured out a cure for cancer in this case. So I don't see how, if you're like, let's say, black, Hispanic, or white, no matter what you are, you can still get cancer. So you're still prone to getting that. So I don't see how mixing races helps in any way.
Okay. Point 4, Con. That was a minute plus.
Many may be familiar with the opinions of the Republican Party when it comes to immigration. In today's society, many of us have heard the ideas of our current president, Donald Trump, who is against the immigration of foreigners, which has sparked the minds of many U.S. citizens. Many find that during political races, the parties attempt to persuade these immigrants into voting during the campaign. As stated in Source B, during the 1840s, buying the votes of primarily German and Irish immigrants during the election was very common and relatively easy to do. These political figures would advertise this in sometimes a very superfluous way to foreigners who do not have the correct papers of naturalization, which were not easy to obtain. Yet these parties would state that these individuals would be able to gain these papers if they went to the polls, which would alleviate the stress of gaining these papers for themselves. Unfortunately, the use of these immigrants' votes to sway the race towards the Democratic side still occurs today.
It has been found that immigrants have certain political preferences when it comes to the size and scope of government, preferences which are more closely aligned with progressives than with conservatives. Survey data shows a 2-to-1 party identification of immigrants with Democrats over Republicans. Consider that immigrants and their children account for 1/4 of those in poverty and 1/3 of those who are uninsured. By increasing income inequality and adding to the low-income populations, immigration will likely increase the number of voters that are supportive of Democratic policies of redistribution. There's even evidence that immigration causes more Republican voters to move away from areas of high immigrant settlement, which leaves behind a lopsided Democrat majority. This would alter the true representative vote that we as Americans are proud of. What should be a healthy balance between parties is becoming artificially tipped towards one side due to immigration. Immigrants with foreign uprisings, different views, and little knowledge about the United States are being given the same political opportunities that we hold. Why would we let foreigners have so much control over our government and who leads our country?
2 minutes, rebuttal.
You said that in 1840 German votes were bought. This is 2017. Political candidates cannot buy immigrant voters. If they want to get somebody to vote for them, they have a political plan and then they follow that plan once they're voted in. If these immigrants are now a part of our society, why should they not be represented?
Also, Hispanics tend to be more conservative due to their religious beliefs. Many of them are super Catholic. And if Republicans are moving away from immigrants, it tends to be for racial reasons. And I think that's a bigger problem in itself, not one about our democracy. And if having increased immigration has proved, especially in younger children, to increase tolerance, which would counteract these people who are moving away for racial reasons.
Okay, 53 seconds. Point 5 pro.
Shutting our doors towards foreign immigrants would severely damage the vital relationship the United States has with many countries. For example, Mexico is a massive economic and political ally to the United States. And closing off our immigration and strengthening border protection along the southern border would hurt the friendship that exists between us. Mexico provides the largest single groups of immigrants in the United States. Every year, countless Mexican families cross the border in search of a better life. These immigrants are a benign and massive asset to our economy. Another reason to maintain the open border policy is to ensure the survival of our political alliance with Mexico. Simply from communications between the U.S. and Mexican presidents, many political conflictions have occurred. The economy along the southwest depends on movement over the border. The national economy would suffer if a sanction was placed against the United States by Mexico. And the U.S. is not only ruining its reputation with Mexico by closing immigration, it has also ruined its reputation as a humanitarian figure. Throughout its history, the U.S. has been a place that people have felt they can go to for safety and a new life. The U.S. is far from a third world country and is not in a time of war, government breakdown, or all-out chaos like other countries. In other countries, they are less than the desirable conditions, and if citizens had the chance for a better life in a better country, they would take it in a heartbeat. By closing its borders, the U.S. is stopping desperate, struggling people from getting the life they deserve. Not only would the U.S. receive disapproval from struggling immigrants, the whole world would disapprove of it. The rest of the world would no longer see the U.S. as the benevolent country that gives people the new life they want and that they need. This is not just an assumption, this has happened before in U.S. history. During World War II, the U.S. received lots of backlash from many countries when it decided to ally with China. This occurred because the U.S. had had a ban on immigrants coming from China for years, and many countries saw the U.S. as unjust and hypocritical. Why would they side with a country when they can't even let that country's people into their own country? Closing the borders would be a terrible mistake for the U.S.
2+. Rebuttal?
So, you mentioned that like desperate people are trying to get into the country since the U.S. borders are closed. But we're not arguing for closing U.S. borders. We're arguing for regulating the U.S. borders. So we want to allow the people who are ensure safety and are of course legal to come into the country. And in terms of being allies with Mexico and our friendship, if Mexico's just going to if Mexico's going to continue giving the United States higher crime rate, violence, and drugs, then why should the U.S. continue to keep its borders open and allow that? It should regulate the borders to ensure like the safety of the people, not to just keep the drug rate.
Also, NAFTA has allowed cheap goods to come across the border from Mexico, so instead of being a beneficial relationship, the lower prices that come from Mexican products have decreased our economic ability to produce goods inside our country and sell those in competition with the cheap Mexican goods, which has been a result of the open borders and the free trade negotiations with Mexico.
1 minute. Point 5, Con.
Everyone is excited to receive their first paycheck after their first period of employment. However, it is slightly disappointing when it is noticed that there is a portion of the salary that has already been taken by the government. When illegal and undocumented immigrants come into the United States, they often take low-level jobs with minimal wages. Because they are working under the table, they are often paid in cash. The government cannot track cash the same way that they would track a paycheck, so that makes immigrants exempt from federal tax deductions. This is a large problem because these people are still using and benefiting from a plethora of the social programs that are paid for by the tax dollars of American citizens. They drive on the same highways and are treated in the same hospitals as taxpayers without paying a dime, as stated in Source A. In most cases, with the system that is currently in place, these undocumented people are never caught and are never given sanctions for their illegal actions. This encourages others to partake in the very same illegal actions because they know that they most likely will never run into problems for doing so, as stated in Source E. That also gives immigrants no reason to ever ask for asylum from the government. As more people enter the country under these conditions, the American economy continues to suffer to a greater extent.
The many flaws that immigration creates in the country's tax system add substantially to the United States' $19 trillion debt. Another problem created by immigrants working for lower wages is that it is harder for citizens to find low-paying jobs. Most people who live on minimum wage need assistance from the government, such as food stamps and housing programs. These are all welfare programs that cost taxpayers. Since citizens struggle to find jobs, oftentimes they will work for less because some money is better than no money. This increases poverty rates and increases the use of the welfare system. The increased use of welfare programs can cost taxpayers trillions of dollars throughout the course of an immigrant's lifetime. The final major issue posed by illegal immigrant workers is that if the worker comes to the U.S. without their family, they will most likely be sending the money back to their homeland. These people are auspicious that they will provide a better life for their family. This creates a massive transfer of wealth from America to whatever foreign country they are sending their money back to, which can ultimately be detrimental to the American economy. By closing the borders of the United States, the number of illegal and undocumented people would decrease drastically, as it would become more difficult to enter the country illegally. The current policy of open immigration makes it too easy for someone to come to America without following procedure, and thus having ruinous effects on the economy of the United States.
A2+, rebuttal.
Yeah, so you guys seem to be a bit perhaps misinformed on the whole concept of open immigration, because you're emphasizing the issues of undocumented immigrants coming in and not paying taxes, which is an issue. That problem arises from our current immigration system, which makes it extremely challenging for immigrants to enter the U.S. And the whole idea of open immigration is to make it way more easy for immigrants to enter from whatever country they're coming from, and become a legal resident and pay taxes more easily. Because the main reason that most immigrants, undocumented immigrants, don't pay taxes is out of fear of being caught and then being deported. So open immigration would really help alleviate that problem. And as for low wages and that, people not having enough money and then taking money from welfare, that seems like much more of an issue with the minimum wage than with immigration.
Okay, it's a minute.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys like 30 seconds because we don't have a lot of time to get your conclusions ready.